Most people would say they want to lose weight actually mean they want to lose fat. But here's the thing, weight loss and fat loss are not the same, and confusing the two is one of the biggest reasons people fail their diets or get stuck in the yo-yo cycle. So today I'm going to break down the difference, explain what's really happening in your body, and show you how to focus on the right goal so you can actually look and feel the way you want. When we talk about weight loss, we're simply talking about the number on the scale going down. But that number is a mix of everything in your body: fat, muscle, water, glycogen, food in your stomach, even your organs. So if you step on the scale and see it drop 2 kilos overnight, it doesn't mean you suddenly burn 2 kilos of fat. Most likely, you lost water or glycogen, which is the stored form of carbohydrates in your muscles and liver. This is why things like low-carb diets or sweating a lot in the sauna can make the scale plummet. But that's not real fat loss, it's temporary. Think of it this way. The scale is like your bank balance. It shows you the total number, but it doesn't tell you whether your money is in cash, investments, or debt. Same with your body weight. The scale doesn't tell you what you lost, only that something has changed. Now, fat loss is what most people are actually chasing. Fat loss means your body is reducing its stored fat tissue. That's the stuff, around your belly, thighs, arms, and even the fat stored around your organs. That's called visceral fat. Fat loss happens where you're in a consistent calorie deficit, meaning you burn more energy than you consume, and your body taps into its fat stores to make up the difference. Here's the catch. Fat loss is slow. You won't burn off 2 kilos of fat in a day. A realistic fat loss rate is about half a kilo per week for most people. And because it's slow, you won't always see it on the scale straight away. Think of fat loss like painting a wall. You don't notice much after the first stroke, but over time, the whole wall looks different. Fat loss works the same. It sneaks up on you in progress photos, clothes fitting better, and muscle definition showing through. Well, this is where people get discouraged. They step on the scale every morning, and if it hasn't moved, they think they're failing. But the truth is, your weight can fluctuate 2 or 3 kilos in a single day, just from water retention, hormones, sodium intake, or well, even going to the toilet. That's why chasing weight loss can be misleading and dangerous. If you crash diet and lose weight too fast, you're not just losing fat, you're losing muscle. And muscle is gold. It's what keeps your metabolism running high, helps you burn more calories at rest, and gives your body that toned, athletic look. Think about it this way. If you lose 10 kilos, but half of that is muscle, yes, you'll be lighter, but at the same time, you'll also be weaker. Your metabolism will slow down, and it'll be much easier to gain the fat back. That's the diet trap. So, how do you make sure you're losing fat, not just weight? Here are the key steps. 1. Strength training. Lifting weights or body weight resistance keep your muscle while dieting. Think of it as sending your body a signal. Hey, we still need this muscle, please don't burn it off. 2. Slight calorie deficit. Not extreme, just enough to lose about 0.5 to 1% of your body weight per week. And that's the sweet spot for fat loss without muscle loss, or at least minimizing muscle loss. Third, protein intake. Aim for around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight, and that's daily. Protein protects your muscle, keep you fuller, and helps recovery. 4. Sleep and stress. Poor sleep and high stress raise cortisol, which can make you hold on to water and crave more food. Nail your recovery and fat loss becomes way smoother. I'd say, in my opinion, this is the single most underrated aspect. So really make sure to pay enough attention to these two things. And last but not least, track more than the scale. Use progress photos, body measurements, how your clothes fit, and even strength in the gym as markers of progress. The scale is just one tool, not the whole story. If you want to measure weight loss, you can just step on a scale and you'll get your answer. So, to wrap this up, weight loss and fat loss are not the same. Weight loss is just a number on the scale, a simple thermogenic effect, if you will. It occurs when you eat less than what your body needs. It's as simple as that. Fat loss is changing your body composition, losing fat while keeping muscle, in short. And that's the real goal if you want a lasting results, a faster metabolism, and a physique you're proud of. So stop obsessing over the daily scale fluctuations and start focusing on the bigger picture. Fat loss, strength, and overall health. Alright guys, let's talk about one of the most controversial and hyped up topics in health and fitness, which is fat burning foods. You've probably seen online plenty of videos that are something like eat these and you're gonna torch your belly fat, or this food is gonna melt your fat like butter. But the question is, do they actually work or they're just a scam? So let's break it down. First of all, the baseline truth is that there is no food that directly burns fat. There is nothing, no ingredient, no magical ingredient that you add to your daily porridge and that's gonna burn your fat. There's no such thing. So what actually happens is that there are some food that contain certain properties that can boost your metabolism and that can help staying in a calorie deficit, and that's really what helps burning through fat. Let's take a few examples. Some of the most popular ones are protein-rich foods like chicken, Greek yogurt, eggs. So the fact is that they don't directly burn fat, but since they are rich in protein, they have a higher thermic effect. What it means by that is that your body is going to use more energies, so more calories, to burn them compared to carbs and fats. So that is just a small metabolic boost, and if probably is not going to move the needle for you, but protein helps you stay fuller for longer, so they might help you eat less, therefore burn some fat. Another thing that is very popular is spicy food, or foods that contain capsaicin, which is the chemical that gives peppers their heat. So things like cayenne pepper, chili peppers, this chemical that they contain increases body temperature and also your abilities to burn calories. Now, this might seem great, but it's actually such a small effect that honestly might just have a few calories difference than not having spicy foods at all. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not gonna make any difference. The third one is green tea and coffee. Now these contain caffeine. This can slightly raise your metabolic rate, and as a consequence, your heart rate. Again, it is a small effect, but still adds up if your overall nutrition and training are consistent. Can support fat loss, but no food that directly burn through fat. So the fact is that they don't cause it, they're just an aim that you can use in your diet if you like them, if you respond well to them. So keep that in mind. Now, other aspects that I might view are underrated but are just as important is hydration and daily movement. And I'm not talking just about the gym, even though strength and resistance training is still one of the most effective way to lose fat, but also a bit of daily cardio, especially your 10,000 steps a day. It is great when you manage to introduce that in your daily life and you keep it as a habit. Now, the combination of protein-rich foods, cardio, resistant training, proper rest, and stress control, that's really gonna beat any gimmick you're ever gonna see online. Let's be honest, we've all seen those 5 minutes ab routine to burn belly fat fast. But here's the question: do quick ab workout actually work in terms of fat burning properties, or is it just clickbait? Let's find out. So again, let me drop another harsh truth on you. Doing ab workout per se is not gonna make you lose belly fat. You can for sure reduce fat in certain spots, but that's due more to the calorie that you burn through the workout per se. So that's why I said that resistance training in general is much better for fat burning than any cardio or ab workouts that you can do. So that is the problem with fat is that you cannot choose the part of your body where you lose fat. That is entirely due to your genetics. You might be genetically inclined, especially if you're a man, to collect all your belly fat on your lower abdomen area and on your lower back. For women, instead, it's mainly hips and glutes. So that's something to keep in mind. But also, even if you drop few pounds, even if you drop few points of BMI, you might still see yourself exactly the same on the belly, which I know it's incredibly frustrating, but unfortunately that's how it works. Obviously, if you drop below a certain percentage, probably around, I don't know, 13, 12, you're gonna start seeing visible abs. So that is obviously a reassurance. So maybe it's just that your BMI is too high at the moment. So you just need to drop a few points and then you're gonna be able to see your abs. Just to recap how human physiology works. You can do all the crunches and leg raises that you want, but you are training the muscles that are under the fat, your abs. That doesn't mean that the fat above the abs is being burned away. Now, don't get me wrong, abs workouts are still very valuable. They help strengthen your core, improve posture, stability, and performance in any other exercise. For example, if you're struggling to perform deadlifts or squats, try to improve your core, and that might support you during the exercise. So in general, a strong core will help you lift better, move better, and look better also once the fat comes off. Now, if your goal is to see abs, you gotta focus on these few fundamentals. Be in a calorie deficit, so especially for natural athletes, if you're in a bulk, forget about abs. Just focus on getting as many calories in and burn size, strength, and muscle. When you cut, then you focus on showing off your abs. second is strength training for your whole body. Don't skip any parts. Everything is important. Everything contributes to range of motion, mobility, flexibility, and longevity in the long term. Third one is getting enough protein. The fact is that your body uses primarily carbs as a source of energy, and then if carbs are not available, it's gonna burn through either fat or protein. If you burn through fat because you having enough fats in your diet, that's great. That's actually a way to burn fat. But if you don't have enough carbs and you don't have enough fat in your diet, your calories are going to be quite low. And that means that your body, to perform its daily functions, has to burn through protein. And that's going to have an effect on your overall muscle mass. So when you see this quick 5 minutes fat burning abs routine, just remember, the routine isn't burning fat, it's training the muscle. That means that as any other resistance exercises, your abs are putting under a certain stress. So you break down the muscle fibers and then they will grow stronger and bigger. Fat loss comes from the overall energy balance, not from how many crunches you do. So what's the smart move? You can still use those quick 5-minute sub routine to train your core, make it stronger, improve conditioning for sure, but then use your nutrition and training to burn away the fat. Combine both, and that's how you get real definition in your abs. Now guys, let's get real for a second and talk about a subject that is very important these days, which is the effect of social media on our beauty standards. So what we see online is actually extremely unreal. There is no way, no realistic and sustainable way to maintain a sub 10% fat percentage in your body and having chiseled abs all year round. So the realistic goal that you should really aim for is simply a fit body, a body that can move, a body that can perform, a body that's strong. Definition is definitely a good signal of what you're doing, especially with your diet, but that's not the whole story. So try not to get too fixated on that, because again, as a natural athlete, getting abs and building muscle at the same time, it's one of the hardest things you can try to do. Now, the problem I think has been made way worse by social media, considering that it's something that it's very hard to escape from in this day and age, especially if you want to establish some sort of connection to the world. And it's great for certain things, like you have access to things that happen on the other side of the world that you would be completely obscure to. But at the same time, social media only presents a facade of reality. It's not really, again, it's not the full story. So these might severely alter the perception of certain people, especially younger generations that are born in social media age, so they've been using this since they're little kids, and they might give them perception of their life that it's actually not realistic and not obtainable. But then when that perception is inserted into a real context and the truth comes out, it's always a traumatic experience. So here's the thing, you see those shredded abs, veins popping, the paper thin skin, and yeah, that's not really how people look year round. It might be just a specific point in time in history where they decided to drop their fat percentage so low just to show the abs, and then they go back to their usual self. A lot of what you see online also is lighting. is angles, dehydration, and that's all done before a photo shoot, so you look your absolute best, and then you go back to be yourself again. Even filters and editing, they make magic, but the problem is that when you're presented with the content 24/7, you forget how to distinguish between reality and fiction. So also I think it's worth noticing that some athletes or models might hit the extreme peak physique just for a very short window, just for a day or for a few weeks. It's never 12 months a year. If you want to maintain a super low body fat, like under 8% for men or around 15% for women, honestly, it isn't sustainable and it's not worth trying to do it, because you're just gonna end up feeling miserable the whole time. Don't forget that having a certain amount of fat in your body also helps you keep your testosterone high and regulates your hormones better. So you might experience mood crashes and strange behavior, weakness and faintness. And that's because your body needs that fat not just to survive but also to thrive. Also, another thing that it's worth mentioning is that being so obsessive about losing belly fat and showing visible abs can negatively contribute to your relationship with food, and you can end up developing eating disorders just because you're so obsessed by definition and burning fat that you end up removing everything from your diet just to lose 1% more. And that can cause severe problems, even leading to depression. So you need to be extremely careful on your goals and make sure that your goals are aligned to what's not just healthy but also what is it that you really want from life. Being lean is one thing, but being healthy and being functional is a whole other matter. Now, the reality is that most fit people, the ones who feel and look strong, they move well, and also they look good overall, they're not stage lean. They're around 12-18% body fat for men or 20-25% for women. So you can still have visible abdomen, you can have fair definition, but also you're able to retain most of the muscle that you built and also make sure that your body works at its most optimal stage. That means also building confidence without having to starve yourself, which is one of the best ways to sustain this lifestyle in the long term. And again, to go back to social media, then normally shows you just the highlight. It shows you perfect lighting, pump up after a workout, or maybe they're preparing for a contest, so they're in the absolute most leanest point. If you compare your normal everyday self to someone else's best moment, you'll always feel like you're lacking behind. So stop chasing, filtered version of fitness. Focus on your version, where you're strong, you're healthy, confident, and you feel at ease in your own skin, in your own body. Because the goal is not to look shredded 24/7, it's to feel good 365 days a year.